Hello and welcome to episode 98, Shifting Currents, the Indo Pacific's strategic role in global peace and security. So, we are continuing this conversation with Dr. Joanna Siekiera from episode 97. And as we discussed previously in episode 97, the general aspects of the region, the kind of impact it has on the small states as well, and the role of the major powers. So, in this episode, we'll be taking a little more deeper dive, trying to dissect the region from a international alliances and partnerships perspective. So, without any delay, I would like to jump into the topic. Joanna, we discuss all this aspect on a general surface level. Now we are taking a deep dive. So, in what ways has China's Belt Road Initiative, which is also called as BRI in the short form, impacted Indo-Pacific's political and economic landscape?
Enormously. And as we spoke in the last episode, China is everywhere, not only in its closest, we would say, natural sphere of influence, so Southeast Asia and Indo-Pacific, but also in Africa, already in my continent, Europe, but also in South America. We can observe that Chinese People's Republic, they use this Belt and Road Initiative, but also others. So they work on different levels. Is it bilateral or international? So we have a few, three or more parties, but we can't forget about the system China has. They say that they are capitalist, but of course they are not. Everything must be in alignment with the party's values. So even a Costco shipping company, the largest fleet, and I would say largest, even largest than the Chinese Navy. So Costco, they of course
Yes.
don't act as private company; they act as public. So we must understand that those mm, maintaining, keeping, or broadening of Chinese spheres of interest, it's being done on very different levels. Is it via in infrastructure? Some programs, like for
Okay.
example in the Balkans, in Europe, they build roads, they build railway stations, different types. So then they kind of make local populace dependent on their help because they
Yes.
come, they win the programs, the grants, scholarships. So other countries, they are anyhow able to compete. And as we talk about cooperation, I will also remind your listeners that I have published last year two books about Indo-Pacific, about
Yes.
security and cooperation in the region. So, ladies and gentlemen, please check those books out. I have civilian and military experts from all around the world, and they see this cooperation from two sides: Chinese and their allies, but also Westerners and their allies. And we will talk a bit also about India and how important it is to grow generations, because what we said in the last episode, China is perfect in maintaining the future, but we must
Yeah.
act now to prevent the consequences of Chinese actions. And so far, unfortunately, China is winning. We are not doing enough, and in many regions, I dare to say, we do not do anything.
Yes. I mean, you mentioned about India again, so I would like to come to the point of the regional alliances. So, what is the role of regional alliances and partnerships like Quad, AUKUS in maintaining peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region?
So, first of all, those are groupings of states. They are not international organization. Why it's important to say? Because like NATO, African Union, European Union, we have legal basis, we have fundings, member states, they meet on a regular basis, and we follow the path. But when it comes to Quad or AUKUS, we act more on a political level. So this is not legally binding. I would not expect from those international groupings any big actions, because this is not the aim. Aim is rather to talk about the same
Yes.
viewpoints, how we want to perhaps improve our military assets, or how to yeah,
Yes.
buy training, but not what to do like in a legal sense. For example, how to harmonize the region, how to maybe sign a new treaty between our countries. So this is very important to bear in mind that yes, cooperation is important, but there might be different or lack of consequences. And again, as we said already, we must act before it's too late, because yes,
Yes.
we share the same um, values, US, Australia, New Zealand, but also India, Republic of Korea, Japan. So we are natural allies here. And this is also your question in the previous episode about NATO, that for the first time in history, in strategic concept, we were mentioning Indo-Pacific, and NATO invited for the first time again in our history of the alliance those four partners to the summits of NATO. So again, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and Republic of Korea. So they are not only outside of the scope of the NATO, so Washington Treaty, but they are also outside of the region. They are not from Euro-Atlantic region. But we see how important is it to bring everyone on board. We might have different perspective, different history, different
Yes.
understanding of democracy even. Yet we need one another, because this battle, it will not be regional. This battle will be global.
Absolutely. And I would like to come to the point of, the triggering flashpoints, I would say. But prior to that, I would also like to know, like climate change is a big factor affecting, the security and global stability. So, can you tell us how it is basically affecting Indo-Pacific region? And do you think this can be the potential flashpoint in the Indo-Pacific that could trigger wider conflicts?
Definitely, definitely, because when a country, a region is vulnerable, there will always be other entities trying to make use of that. And here we come to my topic of postdoctorate research, legal consequences of ocean change in Oceania. So those countries we already mentioned, they are poor, underdeveloped, uneducated, with a lot of youth being unemployed. This is a true tragedy for those people, but also for the nation and security and stability of those countries. So, because they are losing a maritime maritime zone, and then it affects land territory. So their independence and sovereign status on international law ground is threatened. So who will come to help? Of course, China. We can already see those humanitarian projects by China, but again, this is like securing the base that if you will lose your territory, like it's happening already in Kiribati, Tuvalu, and so on, then China will be already there. So this is very, very important to bear in mind that ocean change is another trigger if we want to have a peaceful and stable Indo-Pacific. We must be aware that it's not only military, it's
Yeah.
not only economic, but also climate, so environmental.
Interesting. And stepping a little bit ahead on a broader perspective, I would say zooming out from the regional alliances. So, how do global institutions like United Nations and international law shape the resolution of disputes and conflicts in the Indo-Pacific region? Because, I mean, I know UN efforts, even though we haven't seen a full scale as such, flesh out of the success, but still, the UN efforts always tries to make some of the other difference. Maybe it tries to bring in some other perspective, or tries to bring in some kind of elements which can basically stabilize, or bring some halt to the conflict. So from that perspective, what do you think the role of these organizations are in this region?
Unfortunately, I've been observing, not only me. The lack of action of initiative from United Nations, even when it comes to global warming or climate change. Until now, we don't have any treaty. We don't have any legal basis. Only in 2021, we were given a paper.
Okay.
So, not having legal norms. This is not a treaty. This is only observation of United Nations member states. What do they think should be done to prevent the consequences of ocean change? And guess what? Those countries who are not
Yes.
affected by the direct effects of climate change, they said, no, let's keep the status quo. Why should we change anything or
Yes.
adjust the UNCLOS, so United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea? Or should we write any treaty? No, it's not necessary.
Absolutely.
So those, unfortunately, and obviously for everyone who are being threatened now, who are under direct threat of ocean change, primarily Oceania, but also Southeast Asia, deltaic countries like also India and Bangladesh, they want to do something. They want to make a change in
Yeah.
law. But again, if we are unable to accomplish that new treaty changes in law at the global level, then we go down. So regional, local level. And this is what my research was about, that we are observing actually now that those countries in Oceania, they are creating a new legal procedure by establishing practice, international custom. They go to United
Yeah.
Nations, they deposit their maps, their GPS that this is our maritime territory,
Yes.
regardless if anything will happen to our territory, if our land territory will sink or something will happen. This is us, this is our heritage, and we will remain sovereign country. Because just to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, according to Montevideo Convention from 1933, there are three elements of a sovereign country. So population, territory, and government. So if we are missing territory, we cannot anymore talk about a
Yeah.
state. So the game is big. The game is about being sovereign or not.
Interesting. And I mean, there are several questions I believe which have popped up during the conversation. Of course, 2 episodes are not enough for such a huge topic, where more than 60% of the things on the economic resources and the population of the world's population, of the major population as well, is located in Asia and the Pacific. It's impossible to cover in two
Yes,
episodes. So I,
indeed.
I I really hope we record few more episodes in the future where we'll take a deep dive into this topic. But yeah, coming to the next question and the final one of this episode. This question is not related to our topic that we were discussing, but I believe every guest who comes on board this podcast has some of the other anecdotes to offer to the students, research scholars, or the individuals or the organizations who are trying to make their way into the international relations or geopolitics. So this question is from that perspective for those people who listen to this podcast and are trying to make their way into this security domain. So, what message would you like to give to the researchers, students, and experts working in the international affairs and security domain, from especially the career perspective?
Find your niche, ladies and gentlemen. Find something which irritates you the most, which you hate, which you are angry about, like I did. I, as a European, everyone
Yes,
is writing about
absolutely.
European unions. Like, but why not in the Pacific? Like why? And so
Yeah.
that gives you enormous satisfaction, that gives you pleasure. Because of that, you meet beautiful people, including you found me because I deal with Indo-Pacific, and it's not only what I do but how I do this.
Yes,
So when you believe in your subject, you want to spread the knowledge, you
absolutely.
want to say, look, this is my research inputs, like how I want to mentor other people. And I can proudly say that, yes, I have mentees all around the world. And
That's great.
this is like my heart is growing when I see other people you know, doing what they love. This is very important because there is so much to be done in this world, and not so many people are willing to say this is how it is. As you say about India, yes, we can also see some not the best stuff there, but again, name them, call out loud, because then we can
Yeah.
work on them, we can change. If we will only say, yeah, it's okay, we can handle, no, because threat is always there. In Europe, everyone was certain that we will have beautiful century of peace. No, because Russia and Russian imperialist appetite has been always there. The same with China. Their
Absolutely.
approach of thinking that they are better, therefore, they are capable, they have this legal, ethical, moral right to spread their culture. So, again, we must speak the truth, we must share the truth, and again, then you feel satisfaction. So, to all your audience, your researchers, your students, believe in what you do, because yes, it might be hard. I can tell you that I've been listening to not very positive comments at the beginning
Yeah.
of my career. Again, being Polish, like, why do you want to research Oceania? There are people out there doing that. But guess what? When I
Yeah.
went to doctorate studies in
Yeah.
Wellington, they were grateful because actually they say nobody does that. So, as you can see, follow
Yeah.
your heart and it will always guide you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I hope the students, researchers, and everyone who's trying to make their way into this sector and trying to listen to this podcast, especially these two episodes, will take the advice from Dr. Siekiera. So yeah, thank you very much again for giving us such a precious time, Joanna, and I wish you all the best with your new position. And I hope to record few more episodes with you in the future because there is a lot to explore on the Indo-Pacific side. It's
We
my
will,
favorite
because I
subject as
also
well,
listened to
coming
your
from
previous
background of geology.
podcasts
So
and I really
oil.
like them. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. That's great. That's great. That's great. Interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay then. See you. Have a great day.
Thank you.